What is going on, football fans, and welcome to NFL Nexus. There is this strange, almost electric feeling in the air in Chicago right now. After a gut-wrenching playoff exit, a close loss that ends your season, you'd normally expect a city to be in mourning, right? You'd expect disappointment, frustration, maybe some finger-pointing, but not in the Windy City. Not this time. Instead, the entire city is just buzzing with this raw, unfiltered optimism that it feels almost defiant. And it all traces back to one guy, their phenomenal sophomore quarterback, Caleb Williams. For decades, that QB position has been a revolving door of heartbreak for the Bears. But now, there's a belief that the code has finally been cracked. Today, we're going to dive deep into this phenomenon that's being called the Caleb effect, and we're going to unpack exactly why this brand of hope feels so durable, so real, and just so different. So that brings us to the central question, the real paradox of this whole situation. The Chicago Bears season is over. They went on the road, they lost to the Los Angeles Rams 20-17 in the divisional round. Objectively, that's it. Season's done, you clean out your lockers, you go home. But the entire story coming out of Chicago, from the fans, the media, inside the locker room itself, it isn't about what was lost in that game. It's all about what was found over the whole season. So how is it possible? How can a season-ending defeat, a moment that should be filled with disappointment, instead become the launch pad for so much excitement? That's the puzzle we're going to solve together today. Okay, here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll dig a little deeper into that paradoxical feeling in Chicago right after their playoff loss. Then, we're going to crunch the numbers and look at the hard evidence behind Caleb Williams' incredible sophomore surge. After that, we'll hear directly from the guys who know him best, his teammates, in what we're calling the locker room verdict. From there, we'll actually define what this Caleb effect really is. And finally, we'll look at how one player is basically rewriting Chicago's place in the NFL, creating a whole new gravity for the franchise. To really get why there's so much hope in Chicago, you have to understand just how far this team has climbed. Let's rewind the clock just 1 year, back to 2024. The Bears, they were a mess. They finished with a dismal 5-12 record. They looked lost. The offense was sputtering, and honestly, the future looked pretty bleak. Now, fast forward to this past season. Under head coach Ben Johnson, with Caleb Williams taking a huge step, they completely flipped the script. They finish 11-6. They go into Lambeau Field and win a slugfest in the wild card against their biggest rival, the Packers. And then they battled a veteran Rams team down to the wire in the divisional round. It was a remarkable, almost unbelievable turnaround that pretty much nobody saw coming. Now, here's what's so interesting. After that final whistle in LA, sure, there was that immediate sting of the loss. You had guys like tight end Cole Kmet reminding everyone that success isn't guaranteed, you don't just pick up where you left off, and he's 100% right. The NFL will humble you fast. But that cautious, smart take is being completely drowned out by this powerful wave of pure hope. And the reason is simple. For the first time in what feels like an eternity, everyone in that building and seemingly everyone in the city believes they have finally solved the single hardest puzzle in all of sports. They have their franchise quarterback. Okay, so let's get into it, because this feeling, it isn't just based on blind faith or wishful thinking. It's grounded in cold, hard evidence. The statistical jump that Caleb Williams made from year 1 to year 2 is the foundation that all this optimism is built on. It's one thing for a young player to show flashes, right? To have a few good games. It's something else entirely to see that potential turn into consistent, elite-level play so quickly. It proves it wasn't a fluke. It's the start of a trend. And here's the key. Under the guidance of head coach and offensive genius Ben Johnson, Williams didn't just get a little better. He didn't just make some small improvements. He fundamentally transformed as a player. The quarterback we saw in 2025 was more poised, more confident, more decisive, and, as we're about to see, a much, much better protected version of that talented but raw rookie from 2024. That single leap is what took the Bears from the bottom of the league and turned them into a legit playoff team almost overnight. And this, right here, this tells the story perfectly. Just look at the growth. Passing yards jumped by over 400, getting him right near that elite 4,000-yard mark. His touchdown passes shot up by 35%, from 20 to 27. That's a huge jump. That means more drives are ending in the end zone. But here's the most impressive part of this whole chart for me. While his production exploded, his interceptions stayed almost non-existent. He went from an already incredible 6 to just 7. That tells you he wasn't just gambling and slinging it around to pad his stats. No, he was pushing the ball downfield more, making bigger plays, all while keeping that surgically precise decision-making. That, right there, is the statistical fingerprint of a quarterback making the leap from good to great. But as impressive as Caleb's individual stats are,
they really don't paint the whole picture. You could argue, and a lot of people are, that this single most important factor in his development and the team's success wasn't just something he did on his own. It was the night and day difference in the entire offensive environment around him, and specifically, their ability to protect him. Because we all know it, right? You can have the best arm in the world, but you can't be an elite quarterback if you're constantly running for your life.
Just look at this chart. It's honestly staggering. In his 2024 rookie year, Caleb Williams was sacked an astronomical 68 times. That led the entire league. 68. That is a franchise-killing number. It's an average of 4 sacks a game. You just can't win like that. Now, look at 2025. That number plummeted by more than 60%, all the way down to just 26. This isn't just a small improvement. This is a complete offensive paradigm shift. It tells you the scheme was better under Ben Johnson, the O-line played way better, and, crucially, the young QB learned to read defenses faster and get the ball out quicker. That drop from 68 to 26 is the secret engine that powered his entire sophomore surge. Okay, so the numbers are convincing. They prove a massive leap forward. But stats are only part of the story. The true measure of a franchise guy, you don't always find it on the stat sheet. You find it in the voices of the men who share a locker room with him, the guys who go to war with him every Sunday. The belief a quarterback inspires, that's just as important as any number he puts up. So what's the verdict from his Bears teammates? Let's find out. I mean, this quote is about as direct and powerful as it gets. This is from Bears starting safety Jaquan Brisker, a huge leader on that defense. When he was asked about the team's future at quarterback, his response was instant. No hesitation, no, well, he just said, they have a quarterback here in Chicago. Think about what that means coming from a defensive player. His job is to stop guys like Caleb. He sees what elite looks like every day in practice, and he knows the real deal when he sees it. A statement like that signals a level of belief that just soaks through the entire organization. And the praise doesn't stop there. It gets even stronger. Veteran safety Kevin Byard, a guy who's been around, who's played against the best of the best, he took it a huge step further. He didn't talk about potential or what Caleb could be. He said, he's already a top cornerback in this league, in my opinion. That is a massive statement. This isn't a projection. This is a respected, savvy vet telling you where Caleb Williams stands right now, in year 2, among the NFL's elite. When a player with Byard's resume says something that bold, everyone around the league listens. And finally, let's hear from the man in the middle, center Drew Dahlman, the guy snapping him the ball every play. This quote is so important because it really shows you that relationship between a QB and his line. Dahlman says, as an O-line, I can't tell you the amount of times he's helped us out when we've struggled or made huge plays. This shows it's a two-way street. We just talked about how much better the line protected him, but his talent, his ability to move and make something out of nothing, it often bailed them out when a block was missed. That earns a quarterback a deep foundational respect from the guys whose job it is to protect him. So, we've looked at the incredible stats. We've heard the powerful words from his teammates. But the conversation around Caleb Williams now is getting even bigger than just his play on the field. It's becoming crystal clear that his value to the Bears isn't just measured in yards and touchdowns. There is a larger franchise-altering impact going on here, a ripple effect that people are starting to call the Caleb effect. So, what is the Caleb effect? Let's define it. It's the phenomenon where a true franchise quarterback's elite talent and leadership start to act like a gravitational pull. It attracts other great players, especially free agents, and it dramatically speeds up a team's journey from rebuilding to being a real contender. Basically, his presence alone makes your team a place where other great players want to play, not just for a paycheck, but because they know they have a real shot at a ring. And there's Kevin Byard again, putting it perfectly. He said, and I think that's going to attract people to come here because of how good he is as a quarterback. So that's why I feel like it's sustainable. That last part of the quote, that is the key word, sustainable. The Caleb effect is exactly why this sudden success feels like it has staying power. Players around the league see a young, elite QB on the rise, they see a brilliant offensive coach in Ben Johnson, they see a talented young roster, and all of a sudden, Chicago goes from being a rebuilding project to a premier destination. All right, let's bring this all together. What we're witnessing in Chicago is this powerful mix of elite talent on the field, unshakable leadership in the locker room, and this brand new gravity off the field. It's an incredibly potent combination that is fundamentally changing the Chicago Bears' entire trajectory, not just for next season, but for the next decade. One player is shifting the entire landscape for this historic franchise. The main takeaway here is that this massive hope in Chicago isn't built on something flimsy. It's standing on several powerful pillars. First, you've got his proven on-field production and that dramatic growth we saw in the numbers.
Second, you have the total buy-in from his teammates, offense and defense. Third, you have his emerging power as a magnet for future talent, the Caleb effect itself. And maybe most important of all, you have a young leader who isn't running from the spotlight, but is actually embracing the pressure, and as a lot of people are saying, now owns the city. He's become the focal point for all of Chicago's hope. And maybe the single most encouraging sign of all comes from the man himself. In the moments right after that tough playoff loss, when he could have been patting himself on the back for a great season, Williams said this: "You don't win championships at this moment. You win championships in OTAs and training camp." That is not the statement of a young player who's satisfied with one good year. That's not someone who thinks they've already made it. That is the disciplined, forward-looking mindset of a true leader who gets that this breakout season was just the beginning and that the real hard work is still ahead. It shows a level of maturity that tells you the hype is not only real, but it's totally justified. And so, we end here with the big one. The data is there. The praise from his peers is deafening, and the hope in Chicago feels more real than it has in decades. The Caleb effect has undeniably transformed the Bears from an afterthought into a must-watch team. But the ultimate question, the only one that really matters, is still out there. Can this phenomenon, this perfect storm of talent, leadership, and gravity, finally deliver what the city of Chicago wants most? A Lombardi trophy? Only time will tell. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, please make sure you subscribe to NFL Nexus and hit that like button so you don't miss what's next. A huge thanks for watching. And hey, if you're looking for something fun for the football fans in your life, you can help support the channel by checking out our brand new coloring books. They're perfect for kids, grandkids, and hey, even for adults. You can find them using the link in the description or just by scanning the QR code on your screen now. We'll see you next time.